Welcome to Paws and Effect, the podcast where we dive into the inspiring world of therapy pets and explore their uplifting impact on human well-being. I'm Sabrina Cooper, your host for this journey into the heart of healing and companionship. Let's begin with a fundamental question. What are therapy pets? I'm sure you're all asking. These are animals trained and certified to offer comfort, support, and affection in various settings such as hospitals, nursing homes, schools, and events. While we most commonly hear about therapy dogs, it's not just limited to dogs, but they also include cats, rabbits, and even horses. Also, unlike service animals, which assist with specific disabilities and conditions, therapy pets provide general emotional support and relief from stress. In each scenario, the animals are trained and it is made sure that they have what it takes to be an animal of service and therapy. The science behind therapy pets is actually quite fascinating. Studies have shown that interacting with these animals can significantly reduce stress levels, and just petting a dog or a cat will prompt the release of oxytocin, a hormone linked to relaxation and connection. This soothing interaction can lower your blood pressure and heart rate, ultimately decreasing the risk of heart disease and other stress-related conditions. The psychological benefits are equally impressive, as therapy pets can help combat feelings of loneliness and depression by offering much-needed companionship. Often, if there is a fear of dogs or cats, for example, an individual may actually be inclined to approach the therapy dogs due to their calm and spirited energy and can alleviate the anxiety that comes with fear. And I know you're probably all thinking that, like, what if somebody is afraid of dogs or cats or has a fear of horses? These therapy dogs are so well trained that often they can help diminish these fears of individuals for these pets so that they can conquer it and they can be able to pet and immerse and engage with the dogs. So it's quite fascinating in that respect. I've had a number of people actually get over their fear of dogs when they're approached by a dog that is very calm. Just in the way that you connect with them and the dog, there's a science, sort of like a little science to it, and that way the person isn't going to be overwhelmed, because most times the fear is about the jumping or the barking, right? And so if you have a calming dog or calm dog, that person is going to already feel that energy. So there's something to be said about that. So it's really nice to see that these people can overcome certain fears. And it won't be with all dogs. They still may have a little bit of a fear, but at least they will be able to reap the benefits of a therapy pet or therapy animal. I want to share some personal stories because this topic is very near and dear to my heart, because I had a dog. My late dog Chico was a trained therapy dog with St. John's Ambulance here in Ontario where I live. He was a Bichon poodle, quite small and about 8 pounds, to give you perspective. And he had a really, really good nature about him. I mean, sure, he was a dog. He would bark at things. He would, but he wasn't a jumper. He was very calm. He was kind of to himself. He liked to play, but not overly. He was energetic, but on that kind of on his own time. And so when I was choosing, I really wanted to do some volunteer work. And so I decided I wanted to do something with my dog on my days off. And I apologize because I have another dog and he might be whiny because it's his dinner time. But I really wanted to do something that I thought would fit perfect with this little guy. And so I looked around and researched. I went to some hospitals and thought maybe I could do some work in there. And that all led me to St. John's Ambulance, where we had to do some few weeks of training, make sure that Chico was actually a good fit, that he wasn't going to bark at things that fell on the floor, that he wasn't going to jump up on people, that he wasn't a biter, these kind of things. And then we had to do some shadowing as well in the area where we were interested, which was I chose the long-term care. And we passed the test, and then we had to pass the volunteering stage at the local hospital, long-term care. So we had to become a volunteer with the hospital as well. And each week we would go visit the fourth floor residents, and each week they were eager to have Chico. We often had the coordinator of activities set up a circle, and Chico would, I would put the blanket down, and then I would hold Chico on his leash, and he wouldn't go anywhere, but that's just protocol. And I would hold him, and they would cuddle with him, or they would pet him. And instantly, as soon as we walked, even if we just walked in the room, they would be like, Chico! And their moods would lift. Some people were like, fast asleep, where they were dozing off in their chair. And as soon as they heard Chico, they were like, I want Chico, I want Chico. And their mood and energy shifted. Their eyes would light up. And if they were nonverbal, you could just see like the little smiles creep up. And if they would, if they were, in a state where they couldn't even like do certain movements, you could see a foot move, because that was their way of interacting and saying that they were happy. So it was just so nice that we could provide this service to them. And so many times, like, it was just like, would you like to visit Chico today? Yes, of course I would. And, sometimes we had those days where somebody wasn't into it, and that was totally fine as well. But on the whole, like, everybody always wanted to see Chico. A lot of them would sing songs to him, sometimes in their own language. It could have been Italian, Portuguese, Chinese. We had, you name it, we always had fun. And it also was good for me, because on days where I kind of felt down, or I felt like, I don't know if I can do this today, just seeing the energy shift in everybody else shifted my energy. And there were a couple people that weren't too fond of dogs initially, but after our group visits, they would also be inclined to just pet Chico on his, back, or they just would give him a little pat and smile, and that was their way of showing that they cared. There were some residents, families that initially would say, I don't know, my mom probably won't want to see the dog, because we had to ask for permission because she doesn't like dogs. But then I was like, well, do you want to just see? And then they would, we would put the dog on the lap, and the mom would be ecstatic, and they would be like, oh my gosh, I never knew, we never had dogs, I wouldn't even know that she would be happy. But perhaps she had someone in her life way back when that had a dog, and it just brought some sort of a memory. And that was what it was all about. Oftentimes people would tell me all about their memories, about them having dogs, or that they had a dog at their house, but now they live here and they don't have their dog, or they can't have their dog. And that long-term care was very good at allowing people to bring in their dog. So a lot of family members would bring in their dog for a visit, which was really nice. But you could tell that they were just longing for that dog in their world, because they probably always had a dog in their world. And so we really loved creating the excitement when we would go. During COVID times, that was a different story, and we felt really bad. I felt really bad that we couldn't visit. So we agreed to do some virtual visits, which isn't the same because they didn't get the touch aspect of the dog, but just being able to know week to week that they were going to go on screen and see Chico's little face pop up on the screen. They were happy, and the activities coordinator would have them sing songs and clap their hands. So I would make Chico do the little movements, and I would dance with him on the screen, or we would go outside and I would show them the backyard or where Chico plays and things like that. But you could just tell how much they missed him, but the energy also was there. We also visited high schools during exam time, which was very powerful for the students and very helpful. They would come into a room, and there would probably be 1 to 3 dogs in there, and they could come up and talk to the dogs, handle the dog, and right before their exams, to calm their energy and their anxieties. And many of them would return after their exam and say that the presence of the dogs made such a huge difference in their stress levels. And just a few minutes of petting them and playing with them would calm their nerves and help them focus. So I think there's something to be said about that. And it's such a great program to have for individuals. They also bring in cats as well. So if somebody is a cat lover, that's also an option. The role that Chico and I had was so rewarding that I wouldn't change it for the world. Even though it took some time to get into it, the number of people's lives that we were able to make better for a moment in time was so worth it. So worth it. And I met so many great people and heard so many great stories. And, it was always a little bit, everybody's like, how can you do it? And I said, sometimes I would leave there, even if we lost a resident that had been there for a long time. We had a relation, like that interaction with someone. It's like you leave and you really realize different things. And it also sparked something in me as well to just embrace every day as it comes, and because you never know what's going to happen. So it was a great therapy for all of us, and I urge more people to look into something like this kind of work. If you do have a pet that you think is able to do this type of work, because it's so worth it. I promise you, it's so worth it. I've also been on the receiving end of some animal therapy from horses, which was a really great experience. I was part of a retreat that I attended at a place nearby called Sherwood Farms, and a woman named Jennifer has horses in a stable there. So she does a meditation and journaling session in the stalls of horses where you get to engage with the horses, pet the horses, and then there's a whole little thing that she does. And it's so calming, and it brought up many emotions on very different levels energetically, and it was very useful. And looking back, I think there's something, those powerful, majestic horses just have a nature about them that it's mesmerizing, to be honest. I don't even know how else to explain it. And then maybe you've heard of puppy yoga or have seen it online, but there are yoga classes where they have puppies that will come around and do while you're doing yoga, and you can engage with them and you do poses and cuddle with them. So this helps bring up your endorphins, which helps increase smiles and laughter just from the cuddling of the pup. And I don't know if you all know, but endorphins are the natural feel-good chemicals. They're hormones released by the body, chemical hormones, primarily the pituitary and hypothalamus gland, sorry about that, to relieve pain, reduce stress, and improve mood and well-being. So, we all need a little bit of that in our world, don't we? Some natural endorphins coming our way without a spike in glucose from sugar or something like that. So I know myself, we have a dog that's at our office at work. He doesn't come in where we treat patients and not in the reception area, but he does have like a good run around behind the scenes. And it's just so nice to have him there. It's so great. I have a break or on my lunch, I don't get to see my dog that whole day, so I kind of miss him. And then when I see this dog, I kind of feel like, oh, it's so nice. And I smile. And just that little bit of shift in energy kind of makes you forget about that morning or that day or that interesting case you might have had. And so it's really nice to have a little pet there to make you smile. And it makes those feel-good hormones get going. Animals encourage such an emotional vulnerability and openness, so it makes them invaluable assets in so many various settings. If you're wondering, if you love all of this and what I've been saying and you're kind of intrigued, and you're wondering how you can get involved and where to go from here, there's a couple paths you can take. If you believe that your dog has the right temperament, because they do have to have a certain temperament, even though they might be energetically great, they have to be calm. They have somewhat calm, not a jumper. They have to react to noises in a certain way. You could consider looking into a lot of these certification programs. They'll evaluate your pet. They'll train your pet with you. And if you don't have a pet, these organizations are also very great to volunteer with. So you can assist with the therapy visits, you can go to events with people, and you can get one-on-one view of how these, it's a front row seat to witnessing the profound impact that these animals have in certain situations. I'll include the organization that I used in my area, but I'm sure if you look for online for possibilities in your area, a bunch of things will come up. So find what works for you. If you want to interact with animals, I would again look for therapy, dogs, pets, animals. I can also include the link for some of these horse therapy ones that are available. The yoga classes are usually one-offs, so just look for some in your area that involve animals. Sometimes I think there's also been I feel like there's been barnyard animals for some reason. I feel like there might have been piglets and things like that, and lamb and sheep. Anyway, I feel like there's a whole bunch of different things that you can interact with. Even just checking out some of the local farms you have. You could just go and interact on a farm and work on a farm and be a farmhand and volunteer some time. That would be amazing. People are always looking for that, which gives you a little time with animals. And if you don't want to do anything crazy, just go to a friend, say, hey, can I have your dog for a couple, or I'll take care of your dog for a couple hours. I'll go for a walk with them. That can also just bring in so much for yourself and for the dog. I mean, the dog needs it as well. I think my dog lived to 18 because he had all this love every week. For years, he had every week, he would get maybe 20 to 25 people just giving him love, and me on an everyday basis, and my husband, unconditional love. I mean, and family members. So I feel we give to them and they give to us, and it's just a great way to get some TLC on both ends. So thank you for joining me on this episode of Paws and Effect. If you enjoyed our exploration of therapy pets and their positive effects, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with others who might benefit from it. We always need the shares and the likes to grow our podcast. Stay tuned for some of the upcoming podcasts where we will talk a little bit more about pet health, things that can help, because it isn't always about improving our lifestyle, but the lifestyle of those little furry friends we have around us. And we have a guest speaker coming in at the end of the month who's well versed in pet health and raw food diet for dogs. So that might be of interest to some of you out there. Until next time, give your furry friends an extra cuddle from me today, and stay tuned for more exciting podcast from Dabney and I on The Lifestyle Herbalist, and so that you can get your healthy dose of happiness.